David, thank you so much for speaking with me. First, I got to say thank you so much about the brunch. Wow, amazing event. But now we got to turn into something else that's just as important because that brunch that we talked about before was the kickoff to Black History Month. How do you feel, especially with your organization behind all of this, how do you think Black History Month has grown over the years when it first began back in the 80s?
Well, I think it's grown tremendously because a lot of people are recognizing it, and a lot of companies, especially, are are realizing that it's like we talked about with DEI, right? They're realizing that it should be a part of their culture are the people that come from Black country and Black culture. And as you know, a lot of Black culture, whether it's music, movies, plays, or whatever, it drives a lot of attention. It drives a lot of what the general public is consuming. So Black History Month is no longer separated from something we have to do and has become something we do because we want to make it a part of what and who we are for the people that are working with us and also for ourselves. Because once you understand that Black History Month is bringing other parts of history together that's being missing in completing history, then then it becomes a good thing to do. So it's grown tremendously. Now, more and more organizations have been putting on events that celebrate Black history in Canada, which is good. Um, we have on Black History Month during February, we have a lot of calls for tours, either walking tours or bus tours around the city, because the city is an incredible part of our Black history, believe it or not, right? So if you think of the city, a lot of the times when we're pouring people through. So Eaton Center, that area in general, that was an area called a ward. And people didn't realize that was Toronto's first ghetto. That's where Chinese migrated to, Italians, Jews, blacks, and so forth. And so when you see all these boroughs that have been created, that's where they all sprung out of, right? So we ended up in Eglinton, there's Chinatown, there's Greek Town, right? Uh, so all these areas came out of that little area there. And we walk people through it. We walk them and tell them about it. And they're all like flabbergasted because they come down to Eaton Center, but they don't realize they're coming down to the ward, right? Um, so we try and educate a lot of institutions as well on history of Toronto from a Black perspective or from our perspective. And they look into it, they see more. You start to see what the Chinese have done, what the Jews have done, what the Italians have done. And we see we have a shared history, right? So, like I keep saying, it's not just Black history for us, it's Black history for everybody, right? So we did something a couple of years ago where we talked to the city about the real estate and what's underneath it or worked there before. And we had a meeting for 4 days. On the fourth day, it was booked up. Everybody was there because they kept telling each other how fantastic the information was. So people are interested to know about what is going on and what came before them. So that's what Black history really is all about for us. We tell people what was here. You know what I mean? So people can call our office and book a tour with Pam. You can look at other Black organizations who are having events around that time, right? We have a recreation of the Underground Railroad with Ida and her group. We have book reading lists. We have book reading. A lot of companies call us and ask us if we'd like to have a speaker come and share some Black history with their employees. And so we book a lot of lunch and learns. We book a lot of Zoom calls with their prospective employees. So that's fun. It's always really fun because a lot of people start asking questions because they want to know. Because once you start telling people stuff that they don't know, they want to fill in the gap based on what they've learned or what they thought was the truth, right? So I think that's a big part of what Black History Month has been doing, and people are recognizing that we all sharing. It's not just for one group or another group. We all sharing it, right? I had a teacher one time on the radio say, "Why do we need Black History Month?" Right? And I called in on the radio and said to him, "No, we don't need Black History Month. We know our history and yours, in fact. You need to know what's going on. It's for you, not for us." Right? So he was impressed. We had a discussion, and at the end of the discussion, he said, you know what? I'd love to meet up and talk some more because he was filling in his gaps, right? And he understood now what the assignment was, so to speak.
Now I know
So
we
we have
don't
another
have.
thing.
Sorry,
Go
I was
ahead.
going to just jump in because I know we don't have a lot of time, but I think you were just going to talk about it. You have another event that's really, really important that we need to talk about. We talked about this just before we started.
Yeah, so we're partnering with Bata Shoes in their museum, and we're gonna be setting up a talk. So for the month, we're gonna have a speaker every week talk about their journey through their Black history. So we call it Footsteps Through Black History, and we have a couple. We have Spider Jones actually is going to be one of the speakers, telling us about his journey. And of course, we're working the shoes into it, right? What shoes did you wear at this point in your life, and then have the story be told. We have Linda, who's also a board member. She's going to talk about her journey as a supermodel, or to becoming a supermodel, one of the first in Canada's history, black supermodel. And then we have Kathy Grant, who's going to talk about her research in, the Second Battalion, which is the soldiers, the black soldiers in their construction battalion in the army, and the importance of shoes, of course, right? Shoes and keeping your feet dry in the army is one of the number one
Yeah.
things for keeping your comfort. So she's going to talk about that, and then we have another person we're looking at is going to be an artist talking about their journey from beginning to where they are now. So it's just another play on words, but it'll at least open up a conversation about people's journeys and hopefully the shoe they wear through it, right? I
So
think
how do
that'll
we
be a
get?
fun.
It definitely will be. How do we get in contact with you folks to know more about what's going to be happening throughout Black History Month?
So you can go to our website, right, which is Ontario Black History Society.ca. And then you could also go to call us at 416-867-9420. And then we'll be posting it on social media as well. So Facebook and Instagram. So you'll see those things coming up. So you can reach us there as well, Ontario Black History Society. So yeah, that's some of the ways you can reach us, and we'd be happy to set up a tour with you, and we'd be happy to provide you more information or direction as to all the other events that are going on.
David, I want to say thank you so much for all of this. So glad that we had a chance to speak. Looking forward to talking to you next year. But during this year, I'm looking forward to running into you and all the events that are going on for Black History Month. Thank you so much for the interview, but more importantly, thank you so much for what your organization does for not just Toronto, but for Canada.
Yeah, thank you very much for interviewing us.